Welcome back, Weather Kingdom. In this update, we are going to be taking a look at, looks to me is we could be talking about a Caribbean monster hurricane that's going to be very well organized. I mean, this is today's look at things, and I have to give it. I know we did very good on this channel. We've gained actually a lot of subscribers in the last 24 hours. Also, the most ever viewed live stream yesterday, 1.5K, almost 1.6K. Very, very great for all of us. I'm hoping to be streaming tonight. Also, taking a look. Welcome back. Will this be the final storm of the year? All right, welcome back. So this is everything. Let me just quickly get everything here situated. If you guys are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. That would be very great. We are at 882 subs. We're 18 subs away from 900. And that would be an awesome goal by the end of tonight if we could do that. Also, we are going to be talking about the Caribbean and some Doppler radar that we got out of the islands here. And this is pretty interesting. So quickly, I just want to take a weather-wise. I just want to get that set up just quickly, that you guys don't have to worry about that. All right, 1 second. Welcome back, Weather Kingdom. 882 subs. Let's do this. All right. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Huh. Ooh. Low level. All right. I'm waiting on a few people to join in the stream before we get it started. All right. Where's everyone from? That I know where we're getting some people from that's streaming out. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're getting as many people here. So this is that tropical wave that we are going to be taking a look at. And this, to me, is pretty healthy here. This is a pretty healthy tropical wave. And this is actually entering into a very favorable environment as we continue to look. I mean, look at these low-level winds getting slingshotted very well into this very well band, this tropical band, right into there. And look at that. This is a very well storm that's honestly very worrying to me. And I'll like to live stream on this tonight as we got deep thunderstorm convection wrapping around this entire, right here, look at that, where I just circled. We have a low-level center just north of here. We got a lot of deep thunderstorm convection. This is Durham minimum. And this storm has really thrived pretty well. And we're getting some very, very strong winds that is slingshotting, okay? We got very well nice storm here. And if you guys have any questions, please leave them down below as I will be taking a look at that. New Jersey, nice. What is up? So, look at this. This is that tropical wave here. This is that low-level center winds here. Pretty much getting dragged into here. Look at that. These strong winds right into this low. We're also dealing with winds like this, like right and back in here. And we're even getting a little bit of winds like this. So, our low-level center is about here, somewhere around here. And actually on radar, you can see a low-level center beginning to develop. As it's making these islands, you can easily tell some very good circulation right in here. So the structure on this tropical wave is Jacksonville, Florida. Nice, New Jersey. What is up? Thank you, thank you. How is everyone doing? How is everyone? If you feel like to donate, that'll be very greatly appreciated. Also, this is really organized storm in my opinion. I mean, this is the structure that I've drawn out. The only thing that I will have to say that might be inhibiting it is some wind shear. There is still a little bit of wind shear today that is impacting the western part of this tropical wave. But overall, this is not doing too bad. Where honestly, that wave is actually getting better and better organized. We're seeing more and more outflow. The breathing is very well. And when we take a look at vorticity today, it is honestly getting very well established here. This is our area of vorticity right in this circle, or just circle. Hey, what's up, David? I just got here. Is there any info I missed? Not really. We're just talking about the satellite imagery and everything. This is the current vorticity. I'm very worried with the Caribbean on this. This is a very good vorticity tropical wave, very strong tropical wave entering the Caribbean. Very good conditions. And I can also share the wind shear where what's really good been going on. That just updated, so that's pretty nice. This is our low-level center. So we got a low-level center right in here. But I want to explain what is kind of going on here. You might think that this is just straight out shear, and it's not. What is happening is we're starting to see a outer cyclone, where the shear is not against it; it's actually helping it to breathe. Cyclone, an outer cyclone, and basically you are starting to see that even on the shear maps here, where our tropical wave is about here, but look at this. You got the wind shear over here breathing to the southern side. So I want to take this back. Let me just share this with you guys. So look, you got the winds flowing like this. Look at that. Look at that. Boom. These arrows are going out like this. So what's going on is the atmosphere is actually getting even better organized, and it's actually getting even better where, yeah, there's a little bit of still shear going on this side where it's supposed to go, but you're not seeing it. Just it's going around the system, and then you're seeing it actually starting to breathe on the outside here. So what's going to happen in the next coming hours, we're going to continue to see the shear lessen and more of an outer cyclone to form over it that the models are projecting. And I can actually show you guys that in the modeling data. And before we even go to the modeling data, I want to show you the radar, what is going on. So you can kind of see we do have these bands that are wrapping around like this and kind of doing something like this. And we do have a wave axis in here. But there is a bit of signs now that we are starting to see a low-level center develop in between this axis wave. And I do think that will continue and continue to get better and better organized. White Springs, Florida. Nice, Daniel. Danielle, but this is a pretty well tropical wave in Martinique. I like to continue with this radar as of tonight if there is still some of that there. But when we take a look in the models, it's very worrying of what I'm seeing. So we're going to start out with the GFS. And according to this, the models do expect a low to develop in the next 48 hours. I think we are already ahead of that quite a bit. And it does form into a pretty strong tropical storm in the next less than 4 days. And even into a hurricane in the next 5 days potentially. As this becomes a very strong Category 2. And it actually strengthens to 960 millibars and makes a landfall late on October 24th. All right. In about 6 days in the Dominican. I don't know. All right. There's a lot of things that could change, but this kind of makes landfall, gets weakened by the mountains, and then you could kind of see it stalls over the mountains and pretty much devastate the Bahamas and all these islands with a massive amount of rain and a very strong major hurricane. This I'm not buying yet because it's been changing back and forth with the models, and more of the ensembles is actually agreeing more of a potential. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. I just had to say, New Orleans law looks safe. Prayers for everyone else. Yes, I agree. If you guys are new, please like and subscribe. But when we take a look here, a lot of the ensembles are more supporting a landfall in this box, in my opinion. I think it's going to be somewhere more over here than the Dominican. The GFS has been a little bit off, I would say, but then it does reform back into a very large, major hurricane and something like that. But in this case scenario, on satellite imagery, if we actually take a full look at that monster that develops in the Caribbean. What is going on here with the GFS? Look at that. You got breathing very well on all sides. This would be a monster satellite imagery of a forming major hurricane. Look at that. You got breathing very, very well on this system. I mean, this is a very well sign of how good the conditions are in the Caribbean. And when we actually take a 200 millibar look actually at it right now. So kind of what's going on is slowly but surely, where our low is somewhere around here, there is a little bit of shear. There is a little bit of shear where our low is. And it is against the system. All right. But as we continue to take a look, this does get into better and better environments, especially in the Caribbean. At this point, all bets are pretty much off as U.S. cyclonic flow already developing on all quadrants of this low pressure and very, very well organized. So as we continue to take a look at that. This becomes a absolute monster on the GFS, okay? I'm not even going with the strength at that point because in this type of scenario, you got the best looking cyclonic outflow I have ever seen in the Caribbean out of a storm in a very long time. Look at that. This is breathing on all sides to the fullest, okay? But not just that. You got no dry air. Look at that. No dry air in sight in this core. So you got no wind shear, and then you got no dry air. But what makes it all worse is this. You got not just historic waters. I mean, this is phenomenal. You got 31 degrees Celsius all in here. Not just there. You got a little bit right here. And you got a whole 31 degrees Celsius right here. And you even have a little bit of slithering along the coastal regions of the Dominican of 31 degrees Celsius. That is very impressive. That is so basically with these waters, these are Westpac waters. You got phenomenal conditions in the Caribbean. And I'm going to be honest with you. This system could do a Sarah and be a weaker hurricane and just make landfall and be a flooding disaster. Or this could be, there's been a lot of I-type storms that this could do a Wilma. I do not agree this will do a Hurricane Wilma, but there is that potential, and the ceiling is for a Hurricane Wilma. And if you guys do not know what is Hurricane Wilma, it was pretty much one of the strongest storms in the Atlantic. It had 870-something millibars in the Caribbean. Or 892, something like that. Very, very powerful hurricane. Devastating hurricane, honestly. It went from here and literally tracked like this, and then went like that, and then like this. Something like that. And actually, I'm not going with it. Hurricane Wilma, I think, is a little bit far-fetched right now. But if this did happen, this is like a 2005 storm. If you do not know what Hurricane Wilma was, it was a monster. And let's go 2005. That was it. It literally actually made landfall in Florida, became a Category 5 right over here, and was a monster of a hurricane. And it seriously was a disaster hurricane, truly, in the Caribbean right here. I mean, look at this. Very, very well organized storm here of Wilma. Okay? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the ceiling for this storm is a Hurricane Wilma. And if it did happen, we'll be in some very big, big problems. Okay? Not just that, but the European also shows a very strong storm. It's a little bit slower, but it does get a low pressure by the next 2 days. And it pretty much develops actually a storm a little bit later. It does a little bit later, tracks a little bit more west. And then once it makes it to Central America, it likes to strengthen. And then it becomes a hurricane and then a Category 2 hurricane. And makes landfall in Cuba. And then pretty much hits the Bahamas as a strong Category 2. And then you get a coastal low type deal with a hurricane and kind of becomes a major hurricane. And then gets slingshotted to the north and tries and slingshot back into the United States on the Euro. I'm not going with that. There's still some differences in the models. And when we take a look at some of the GDN, let's go there. So this is very worrying. This is the latest 12Z of the AI model. Has it developing and then kind of moving over here much more west. But look at all these ensembles. You got all Category 3s and 4s right here slamming into Cuba. And even one into Florida right in here. But you got a lot into the Bahamas. And this is just one of the AI models today. All showing major hurricane in the Caribbean. This will be extremely bad. This is another set of AI models. And it does a little bit different. First off, it does something like this. Alright, you got two scenarios. You got one scenario that goes like this into, it gets picked up by the first trough, and then this will be the second trough, right into Cuba. Third trough is pretty much, this goes into here, and then bam. That's not going to happen, okay? But this is a very worrying signs on the ensembles and the models today. And this is actually 12Z. GEFS, showing a lot of major hurricane to a Category 2 to Category 4, even some 5s in there on the ensembles of the GEFS. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's very, very bad. You guys actually been talking about it a lot. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, thank you. Correct. This is pretty bad of ensemble, even the European ensembles. This is 0Z, but look at that, 918 millibars right there. It especially goes west and even becomes a tropical storm. And even becomes a hurricane, and then it actually has it traveling very far to the west. I'm going to like to see how that continues to play out. This is that latest National Hurricane Center update, and now we are at 3070. Recent satellite and wind data and surface observation on this tropical wave currently crossing the water still lacks a close circulation. However, both radars and satellite does indicate the showers and thunderstorms are activity starting to show some signs of organizing. So we are already seeing from the National Hurricane Center that this tropical wave is already organizing on satellite and radar. The system is moving quickly westward. That should limit over the next day or so, but the environments are forecast to become more and more favorable as it slows, as it starts to slow down. So basically, what the National Hurricane Center is wrapping up here is development is looking pretty big. All right. Development is looking pretty bad into the Caribbean as of right now. When we take a look at the latest satellite, look at that. Continues to develop convection, thunderstorms, and some worrying signs on this tropical wave. All right. And actually, I thought that was a mission, but they're not mission. Also, what else can we do here? Hurricane models. Look at the HERF model. Shows a category 2 into Haiti. Goes a little bit more west, kind of stalls, and then it makes a landfall. Looks to me in Haiti. So that would be very bad if that scenario happens. The Icon likes a Cat 4 in the Caribbean. It likes it to go a little bit more west and pretty much becomes a catastrophic category 4 just south of Jamaica at this point. All right. So some very bad, potentially, things to really watch out. But it's not looking good, you guys. I'm going to be honest with you. This tropical wave is looking pretty historic. If this does take into the right environment, things are pretty much doomsday. This is that. We already looked at that yesterday. I don't want to look at that again. Let me just quickly. Let me look at the ocean heat content. I know you guys like looking at these charts. Look at the icon track. Look at that. You guys know how Pat's Path Predictor, David Softhour, a lot of Weather Nazario, Ryan Weatherhall, Weather Kingdom even, Trevor Weather, a lot Hurricane Track team has said that this Caribbean is a waiting, ticking time bomb. And if the conditions are right, it's pretty much doomsday across the Caribbean. And that is not an understatement. That is a fact. In this type of scenario, I mean, this is ocean heat content. All right. This low is right here in between the islands where I just dotted. Look at all this OHC. This is historic OHC where we are above 175. And then let's say this storm does something like this, and then goes into this, and then shoots like that. Or, for an example, we do something like this, and it shoots something like that. Or let's use another model run. Let's do that, and then boom. Or even into boom. The OHC is historic, you guys. Historic OHC. This is pretty bad. Okay? Pretty bad. If we actually take a look to climatology. Yeah, look at that. Pretty bad. Wow. Yeah. This is OHC equivalent. So this is not exactly. That's not OHC. Don't worry. That's not. That's equivalent. Okay. Also, the look at the water. Let's make sure this is updated. Yep. This is updated too. The shear is getting better and better organized. By the way, if you guys feel like free to donate, that would be very greatly appreciated. If you guys are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. That would be awesome. Our goal is to 9. If you guys are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. We will be live tonight, probably around 9 to 9:30, and we'll probably be live tonight. So keep that in mind that we will be live tonight, and we'll be looking at all 18Z and model data. Look at this tropical wave on. Oh. Do you guys not see this tropical wave just entering the Caribbean? Waiting, ticking time bomb. Seriously waiting, ticking time bomb. Not good. I will be actually also trying to make my own track and forecast on this. I would say this will likely become a hurricane. If things continue to look like this, I mean, a hurricane is pretty possible. I mean, this is seriously taking its advantage, and it's not even in the right conditions. You got this system already taking its advantage in the Caribbean. It's not even in the Caribbean, so that tells me it's pretty bad. All right, very, very bad. I did see the Euro run. Pretty bad. What's everybody's opinion on this? Anyone's opinion? I want some opinions here. Let's go. Let's get some opinions. What are y'all opinion? The Euro 6Z, let me just quickly look. This was 6Z. This was 0Z. Yeah, it had it. Wow. It had a 931 into Cuba. That's possibility, you guys. I want to be honest with you. That is a possibility. That, you know, the Euro's not wrong. Yeah, that was probably one of its ensembles it picked up on in the 0Z, where it showed a Category 5 making landfall in Cuba. That's a possibility. I mean, that would be a Category 4 in the Bahamas. Wow. Wow. Look at that for the Northeast. Northeast, love that. That's like a... Oh, okay. That is pretty crazy right there on that. That's, in my opinion, that's a little too much on the 0Z for that. It is very scary with the environment. I mean, once again, I'm going to tell you guys this. This is OHC. Absolutely bombing off here. This is rocket fuel, number one. Number two, you got a very good structure, very good vorticity entering into the good environment. This wave is actually better than anticipated. Then you got the shear. Once again, I'm going to explain this. You might think this is shear right in here. And no, it's not. Because what's happening is we're starting to get an outer cyclone where basically you could tell this is our low right in here. And the winds are, the shear is actually not against it. It's helping. You can tell it goes upwards. So it's actually helping to breathe this storm out. And that should continue to happen in the next couple of days. Also, as this storm slows down. Also, when we take a look at the radar here. See ya, Critty. Nice talking to you, man. I'm not liking this satellite, though. Ooh. I'm not liking that satellite. You can also see that it's actually getting less and less shear. Because look what's going on. Yeah, you're getting shear, but look, it's going due north here. Look at that. You see shear going due north. It's not going west against this. You're also starting to see some little, look at that, cyclonic outflow in the breathing. Look at that, you guys, right? You guys not see that? You're starting to see it. This is really going to blow up tonight. This will likely try and go 90-90 later tonight if conditions continue to ideal. This is pretty bad. All right. But I will have to head out, you guys. I will be talking to you guys later tonight. Once again, stay tuned for around 10 o'clock tonight for the live stream, even 9:30. Make sure you have your notifications on. That when I do go live, you guys are ready to rock and roll with me. And we should be having some special guests tonight on the stream, hopefully. If you guys want some special guests, scream in the chat, yes, we do. Or say, yeah, let's go Weather Kingdom or something like that. Just scream it out. I don't know. Make up something.